All right, welcome. Some devastating news with Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau today, unfortunately passing away. Um, I was still waking up this morning and I went on Instagram and I saw a post from the NHL about this horrible news. I'm still processing the feelings. I'm still kind of in that shock phase. And I've watched a pretty substantial number of tribute videos and a lot of teams and players and organizations on all forms of social media are coming out, giving their condolences and support to the Gaudreau family. It's it's just it's so unfortunate. And I didn't want to come on here and do a whole condolence video. There's a ton of fantastic memory videos out there of Johnny Gaudreau already, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. My buddy's been sending me highlight reels of Johnny Gaudreau all morning. We've been going back and forth. It's been nice, but I guess I kind of just wanted to talk about how Johnny Gaudreau kind of impacted the growth of love for me when it comes to hockey. Um, and I don't want to make this about me, but at the same time, we're talking about this player who has had such a positive impact. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, so I kind of just want to share that. So it was seventh, eighth, ninth grade. I'm in school. I'm really starting to get into hockey. You know, Last 2 years of high school, I'm really into hockey. I'm a big Bruins fan. I go to one season, I went to 30 plus Bruins games, and the other, I think it was somewhere around 20 Bruins games. Um, and it was absolutely incredible. And I'm in love with hockey. I'm still fairly new. I'm still learning some of the players, some of the odd rules, and so on. It's time to go to college. I purely pick my college based off of academics and cost. I didn't factor in anything such as sports, and I got lucky because I went to a school that had a Hockey East hockey team, and they were very good. Hockey East is a division in the NCAA for college hockey, um, and games were free. So I went to a lot of hockey games. Right, I think I went to every single hockey game while I attended that school, and some away games, really every home game. Um, so the years rolling around. It's now 2012. We have a pretty solid team at our school. Uh, we're competing for the Hockey East title, um, and it's a couple months into the season. And for those that don't know, I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm an engineer. I love numbers. I love trend lines and math and all that stuff. So a couple months into the season, I'm looking at the stats, kind of scouting out the BC Boston College hockey team, and there's this fourth. It tells you where everybody's drafted, if they're drafted. Fourth round pick in BC, kid's a freshman, and he's putting up crazy numbers already. I was a little taken aback because you get the Tommy Cross senior throwing up numbers like it's no one's business, but you kind of expect that from Tommy Cross. Um, no, this kid Johnny Gaudreau is fantastic. Eventually BC comes and plays at our school, and I get to watch this kid Johnny Gaudreau just absolutely tear up the ice. I can't. It it was just this surreal moment. This is little guy, and I think he's registered as 5'9" on a lot of like not cap friendly, but like NHL.com and Puckpedia and all that. I think he's registered as 5'9", but I don't know. He might be like 5'8" in real life. But you get this little guy weaving against our team's like massive defense, 6'4", 6'5", strongly built defenseman. Um, and our goaltender at the time was Connor Hellebuck. And his backup was Carter Hutton. Both goaltenders who made it to the NHL. Right, one of which is still in the NHL. Just won the Vezina Trophy last year, this past season, right? And Johnny Gaudreau is just weaving in and out of the defense, finessing, shaking off hits, which was crazy, and scoring against college hockey, one of college hockey's best goaltender, if not the best goaltender at the time. It was absolutely incredible and surreal to see a whole. It was like seeing a whole new style of hockey. You get those finesse guys in the NHL, but you don't get a lot of small finesse guys that are strong on their skates and have a low center of gravity. So it was really eye opening, and just as a hockey fan, especially being a Bruins fan, right? You know that the Bruins are notorious for being big, strong, hit heavy team, defensively oriented, and that's a lot of what I watched and grew to love throughout hockey. So it was cool to see a different style of play, especially in person, and from this fourth round pick freshman, who you usually don't see freshmen tear up the or NCAA, let alone somebody who was drafted later, like third round below. You don't usually see that too often, so it was kind of surprising, in a great way. Um, and I think BC won the national championship that year, if I remember correctly. They were a wagon. Now, being from that area, I or know a lot of people that attended Boston College at the same time as Johnny Gaudreau, and I've just a lot of people directly and indirectly have nothing but positive, fantastic things to say about the guy. Just an incredible human being, top to bottom. And college, there's a lot going on, especially for athletes. You know, it's just they're trying to figure themselves out, right? You have academics, you have sports. You're kind of trying to get a degree, but you're also like trying to be professional in whatever sport you're doing. And you have kind of this elevated status on whatever campus you're at with most sports. And you can kind of see some of the worst in athletes in their college days. I'm not making a generalization for all athletes. There are fantastic people out there. Most of them are outstanding people, right? But I've never heard a negative thing when it came to Johnny Gaudreau, which isn't just I think it speaks volumes to the type of person he is or was. He, he's one of those guys who went to Calgary and then Columbus and would still come back to the Boston area and New Jersey and some of the surrounding areas. I think he spent some time on Long Island, but I'm not 100%. Spending time with the community, spending time helping to develop the hockey programs, making appearances at just random hockey camps. He really invested a lot of his time and energy into the community, and I don't think that can be understated enough. How great of a human being he was, right? And given the whole college hockey experience, and I remember one specific play with Johnny Gaudreau, where it was a very revolutionary moment when it came to hockey inside my brain, and it just made me want more, more hockey, more creative fun. I don't know. It was some type of adrenaline rush. Even though he was playing for the other team, it was such an incredible play. I don't know. It really changed my perspective on hockey in general. You can't even be mad at the other player scoring on you when it's so incredibly outstanding to watch. Just one of those great guys. And when it comes to this channel, there are a few players I don't necessarily talk a lot about, and that's primarily because I'm struggle to put my personal bias aside when talking about them. I think that's because college hockey was such an evolutionary point with my love for hockey in my lifetime. I think some of my thoughts and opinions on some of those players um, tend to really, that bias is harder to put aside than, say, for example, my love for the Boston Bruins. I love the Boston Bruins. I'm a Bruins fan. But there's a special place for some players that played college hockey when I was watching college hockey. Johnny Gaudreau is one of them. I don't talk a lot about him because I have those rose-colored glasses on for him. Gustav Nyquist, for example, is another one of those guys. Um, it's just there are a few, and it's I don't know. So that's it. That's kind of my little rant. My buddy and I have been sending each other Johnny Gaudreau highlights from Boston College days. He attended Boston College along with his sister. Um, I don't think him and Johnny Gaudreau crossed paths on campus. I think he transferred before Johnny Gaudreau got there, but he's a big Boston College hockey guy, and going to a rival school, I guess, depending on who you ask, who's rivals. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. So we have fun banter with that, but yeah, it's a day where we're celebrating Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau. I unfortunately don't know a whole lot about Matthew Gaudreau, but if he's anything like his brother, then it's a massive loss to the hockey world and just the world in general. So again, there's not much I can say when it comes to condolences and sorrow and feelings, and because I think a lot of that has already been said, and nothing I say is going to make this situation any better or positive. Um, it's in my thoughts, and he's a player. He's a player I'll never forget. It's crazy, man. So that's all I got. I could rant on about this for, I don't know, an hour and a half or more, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm kind of just gonna be left with my thoughts for the rest of the day. So yeah, I appreciate you watching. If you made it this far, this is kind of just it's almost like a venting, reminiscing video, more or less, from my heart, not from like stats or a board, which for me is unusual. But I also like don't expect anyone to watch this, and that's perfectly okay. I guess this is kind of part of my little therapy and coming to terms with what really happened. It's a massive loss to the hockey community as a whole, not just the NHL, not just the minors and juniors and college hockey, but hockey community as a whole. That Johnny Gaudreau did so much for little hockey communities and camps and all that stuff, and it's such a shame. It's really sad. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I appreciate you. Be safe.